are big storyline changes coming for the WWE. Triple H recently called a meeting. Actually, the Monday Night Raw, which emanated from Knoxville, he reportedly expressed his desire for Raw and SmackDown to have more of a flow from top to bottom. There are concerns within WWE that people aren't subscribing to the WWE network because the product on TV isn't good enough, which can largely be attributed to the lack of flow, storylines being forgotten or outright dropped. One source pointed to Triple H and Vince McMahon having different visions, and the ideas of the two clashing. It's said that going into the summer, Triple H really wants more focus placed on undercard programs as a way to help build up the mid-card. Now, this report comes from DailyWrestlingNews.com. This is an interesting report because this has been one of the biggest things that people criticize WWE about is the fact that the mid-card, it's been going on this has been going on for a very long time, since the early 2000s, that the mid-card feuds are so poor. They do them maybe for a little while, they'll drop them. A recent feud, which I haven't seen on TV, it's not like it was a great feud or anything like that, but it just shows you why people stop caring about mid-card feuds. They don't care about them. The Fandango, Layla, Summer Rae storyline. I don't know what happened with that. I don't think they've done anything since they were in England, I believe. I think that was the last time they did anything. I can't remember any other time they did anything. I guess there was actually the May 26th episode of Raw they did something, but this past week's Raw they did absolutely nothing with Summer Rae, Fandango, and Layla. So that feud could be over with. Who knows? And then they also, for about a week or two, they dropped the Cody Rhodes Goldust feud, but they restarted it again. So it just shows you, and TNA does the same thing, they do that exact same thing a lot, and it just shows you that if you're not going to have continuous storyline week to week, and you gotta, I understand that also there's TV shows that even do the same thing, where they'll have a storyline go on, and they'll drop it for 6 or 7 episodes, and they'll start it up again. It's different with wrestling fans. Wrestling fans have a very short attention span, which is saying a lot because you'd think if they have a short attention span, they probably shouldn't be watching 3 hours of Raw every week. And I'm surprised that Raw has such a high rating because a lot of wrestling fans do have a short attention span, and people in general have a very short attention span. So you probably should just keep these storylines going instead of just dropping them one week, especially when you have 6 hours of television that you really push hard every week. You have Raw, you have SmackDown, and then you have now Main Event has been more heavily promoted by WWE recently as well. Superstars is never promoted ever, except for on the WWE pre-show, because they tape Superstars during the pre-show, before Raw, and which is on the network, and then you have NXT. And that's it. Those are all of the shows that are taped. They're the actual in-ring wrestling shows. So let's just one that I completely forgotten about. Saturday Morning Slam has been canceled, so that's over with. But people have very short attention spans, and dropping a storyline just right out of the blue, like the Summer Rae Fandango Layla storyline, or or stopping and starting the Cody Rhodes Goldust feud, and there's been a billion of these feuds storylines that are just. They'll do them for a few weeks and they'll drop them. Like several times with like romantic storylines, they'll do that a lot. A lot of it has to do with the fact that the male and female wrestler does not want to actually be involved in the storyline. One example was Drew McIntyre and Kelly Kelly. They did it for like a month and they just dropped it out of the blue. Just all these different storylines. I remember Kane and Kelly Kelly, that whole thing, that was bizarre. They did it for like a week, for like one episode of Raw. Then like a week later, they revealed that it was Randy Orton was this guy who I guess Kelly Kelly was dating or something. And Kane, the week before, Kane was all upset because I don't even know why Kane was even upset. He was torturing her. It was a horrendous storyline. You'll have to look it up on the internet. It really was a complicated. Maybe one day I'll dedicate just a video just talking about it here, but. Anyways, back to these mid card feuds. You got all these wrestlers. Let's just kind of just run down some of these wrestlers that is the WWE roster right now strong enough to have several mid card feuds, more than just 2 or 3 like they usually do. Is it more? Can they do more? Right now, there's about 5 main. There's about 5 mid card feuds going on right now. We're in early June right now, so let's just run down the feuds that are going on right now. The mid card feuds, not the main event feuds. You got Cesaro and Sheamus, with Paul Heyman thrown in there too, who are feuding over the United States title. You got Wade Barrett and Rob Van Dam feuding over the Intercontinental title. You got the Cody Rhodes Gold Dust thing, where Cody Rhodes is going to eventually turn on Gold Dust eventually. And Cody Rhodes is picking out partners for Gold Dust each week because Cody Rhodes feels that he himself is the weak link in the tag team. And supposedly this match is going to take place at SummerSlam. Then the other feuds you have going on right now, the other mid card feuds. I had to really think about this for a second. You have the Adam Rose, Jack Swagger feud, which may actually be over with. You also have the Usos and the Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, which is also kind of a spin-off. It's more of a spin-off feud from these John Cena, Bray Wyatt feud. And then you also have, I don't know if you want to count you can't really, I'm talking more just the feuds with the male wrestlers. You can count the Divas feuds if you want, but just focus on the feuds with the male wrestlers. Then also right now you're also going to have a lot of these mid-card guys are going to be put into the Money in the Bank match. So, it's not really, maybe right now is not the best time to start doing a bunch of mid-card storylines. If this report is true from DailyWrestlingNews.com, but I don't know. I mean, I just remember that TNA used to do this a lot, where TNA, during the Attitude Era, late 90s to WWE, they would have a lot of mid-card storylines, which sometimes it would take away. Sometimes when you have too many storylines going on, too many mid-card feuds, it sometimes will take away from the main event. But when you got you got 5 hours of television, network television, of cable television time, of, major television time on Sci-Fi and USA, you should spend some time, and they also have the WWE app, all pre-show. Spend some time building up these feuds. I think it would be this because they have so much television time. They should be building up feuds, mid-card feuds, to make the show not go by just feel like it's just at a crawl. Is what the show feels like at times, especially more Raw than SmackDown, but SmackDown too. Because SmackDown is just basically just Raw, Raw, the 4th and 5th hours of Raw, basically. And it just feels just like a rehash. And both shows are just rehashes of each show. They're basically, SmackDown is just basically SmackDown. Actually, what happens on SmackDown actually is they'll have matches. First, they'll have a match on SmackDown, then they'll have the match on Raw, which is horrible because who wants to see the exact same match back to back? It's just, I don't want to see that, especially when it's like two guys you don't really want to see wrestle, and the match really wasn't that good. It's been happening a lot in the last year. It's getting really bad. So basically, if you take a look back at the 3-hour Nitros, for people who used to watch WCW back in the 90s, the 3-hour Nitros were brutal. They had very, very few mid-card storylines, similar to Raw. They had some, mostly with the cruiserweights, but it still was just a lot of filler, tons of filler, video packages, showing, like one example, the Four Horsemen shows up. They then show the Four Horsemen from the parking lot. This parking lot is far away. It is not quite close, right next to the entrance of the close to the ring. This is a parking lot that's far away. They show the Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson, his family's with him. it just goes on and on and on. They all walk to the ring. They used to do this with the NWO all the time. They did it to kill time. And why spend time showing a bunch of guys coming into the ring when you could spend time building up, a new mid card wrestler, building up a new guy, instead of just, look at, that's one of the problems though with WWE right now, repetitiveness. They'll do these mid card feuds, these mid card storylines, and they just feel like a repeat. It's all in repeat. Look at Bo Dallas. It's just like the same thing every week. It's just like it's the exact same thing every week. And Rusev, to a degree, said the same thing every week. They did do the medal award ceremony thing, whatever the heck that was, this past week on Raw. But for the most part, it's just all repeats, all rehash. WWE just feels like it's on pause right now. It's pretty difficult to watch right now, is because it really does just feel like it's on pause. And I do believe though that if this story is true, this Triple H wanting more mid card feuds, it definitely would help, because they just really do need a strong mid card. Not only just because it would make the show more entertaining, but also because they need guys that they can replace, the main eventers, because that's one of the reasons why back in the old days they had WWE, when they had a strong mid card, that they could just easily go, okay, this guy got injured, let's replace him with this guy. It was so much easier to do that, but now it's so difficult because every guy in the mid card, Dolph Ziggler, Damian Sandow, Alberto Del Rio, all these guys, they are dead in the water. Their careers might as well be over with. I don't think that any of these guys are ever gonna win any world titles ever again. Maybe they'll win mid-US IC tag titles at some point, but they ain't gonna win any world titles anytime soon, ever again. I don't think it's ever gonna. Zack Ryder's never won a world title, but Ziggler and Del Rio will never win world titles ever again. Maybe I'll be wrong. You never know what may happen. Del Rio's more likely than Ziggler, but none of these guys on the roster right now who in the mid card are going to be title contenders ever again. The fans see them for what they are because of the way WWE pushed them and buried them. So there's nothing really they can do, but at least maybe have some entertaining mid card feuds. These guys are never going to be world champions. Might as well get some good use out of them.